There are some people in this world who consider themselves grown and have been on this earth for a long period of time and have produced nothing but children. I'm not jealous or poking fun of anybody who has a big family or anything like that. I'm talking to a specific type of person. They never held a job long enough to receive a pension or 401k because they were out in the streets and dealing with street people. Their spouse is no longer alive, being husband or wife. Living probably in some sort of government housing because they can't afford to pay the whole rent. Probably receiving some type of disability government check because, as I stated before, they weren't at a job long enough to earn a sizable income. Never opened a business besides just doing a little few dollars here and there out the kitchen, but nothing really substantial. And had a whole bunch of children in order to get bigger checks. And then what they do is they wait for these children to get grown, and then they turn around and they try to pull familiar rank and say, you're my child, you're supposed to take care of me. And then if the children don't do it, and the children are old enough, if they have children, then they'll turn around and they'll try to pimp out the grandchildren. And the grandchildren don't know any better because that's pop, that's me, mom. They don't know the whole damn story because they weren't around when it was going on. So they're sitting up there and they're dropping everything and then turning their whole life around for this person, and they don't have any idea what kind of shit they're getting involved in. These people have manipulated 2 generations of people. They manipulated their children and they manipulated their grandchildren and possibly some great-grands if they're old enough. They're manipulative and have been manipulative all their life. That's how come they didn't want to earn a lot of honest living. These were the ones when they were younger thought that they were going to get over on every man they came across, get over on every social worker they came across, get over on every type of government system, performing all kinds of fraud and everything else just to move from pillar to post. Use every single man they come across, and that's how come every single man, every single woman that they come across, and that's how come their behind is alone. Because that person they were dealing with, that female or that male that was supporting them, either them passed away or they moved on and they don't even deal with them anymore. So the only thing that they've got left is their children. So their children is their investment. Their children is their financial support. Their children is their real estate. And their children is the only means of stability that they have in their life because they don't have anything else. And a lot of the children are trapped because they want to move on and do better things. They've had the capability to move on and do better things, but because of their lazy father or their lazy mother that won't get off their butt and do anything for themselves, they would rather sit there and say, honor thy father, their mother, taking the Bible out of context, and they sit there and they grow old and broken down right along with them. They'll sit there with their broken down mama and their broken down daddy, who is about 15, 20 years older than them, and they just as broken down as they are. They suffering health problems and everything just like they are because they never went anywhere. So then they turn around and they have children following the generational curse. And then the children turn around and they grow up being brainwashed to believe that you got to do everything that Pop say. You got to do everything that Mima say, regardless, because they're old, because they're sick, and this, that, and the other. People, we got to understand something. And I mentioned this in a previous audio about respecting when to respect old people, but I'm going to tell you something like this. You got to think about the fact that these old people were young once and they pissed their time away. They pissed their time away. They don't know how to talk to people. They don't know how to show respect. They don't know what a work ethic is. A lot of them are barely educated, ain't trying to be educated. A lot of them are just in and out the church, in and out the temple. No sense of consistency whatsoever. They haven't had a building bone in their body their whole life. They were always looking for somebody else to cover them. So now that they've run out of dates, they've run out of husbands, they've run out of boyfriends, they're only going to get so much every single month for the pension. Now what they're doing is they're looking for the children. They're going to make their children and their grandchildren take care of them. They're going to make them drop stakes and come run to their rescue. And have the nerve to sit there and use their sickness to keep other people trapped because they're trapped. That is a huge case of manipulation, and I'm sure some of you out there know about this. And you mean to tell me that you're going to still sit up there and have respect in your mind for this person? No, you're not. Because these are the people who started the generational curses. These are the ones who created this curse on the entire family. They created the curse. And you know that you're aware of it because you've probably been a few places and seen a few things. You've seen how other people your age live. You see what's going on in the world. And you're sitting here like a hamster on the wheel. Your body is breaking down every single day. You're not going anywhere mentally or physically. You are about to lose your mind. And you know what the sad part about this situation is? Let's say that you do cater to this person forever. Okay, 9 times out of 10, they're going to bury you before they bury them. And I've seen this happen before. I've seen it in the case of a couple of women that I knew that were friends of the family. They sat there and they lived past all the children, lived past some of the grandchildren, because they done worked all of them into the ground for her. Worked them into the ground. And the thing about sad part about it is, let's say that they do go and you did your so-called duty as a child. Now you're stuck with the headache of trying to pay off all those bills because they ain't leave nothing. They couldn't even take a few dollars and get an insurance policy a month. They couldn't even afford to do that. But every Friday they'll tell you to go play them numbers for them. They'll tell them to go get them some menthol cigarettes. Every single Friday. Every time they get that little piece of check, they tell them, oh, take me to the doctor, get me this prescription, go pick up stuff from the store, go to Walmart. Oh, and by the way, let me stop by the corner store so I can get $100 worth of numbers. And that money could have gone to a life insurance policy. Y'all see where I'm going with this? They don't have the mindset. And then you as a child, you were probably coming up trying to show them different things and they didn't want to hear it. You probably were trying to show them different ways of doing things and they didn't want to hear it. And the sad part about it is the way they turned around and they used you and wore you down because you were ready to get out of there once you got old enough. Whether it was because you had a baby of your own and you wanted to leave and wanted to get married, or if you wanted to go to college but you were ready to get out of there. And once you got out of there and had your kids and your kids got big enough, you're going to turn right round and let your children be subject to that same treatment. Now that child is running back over to your mama's house and you was the one that was trying to get out of there. Did you forget that? Did you forget that? But you turn around and let your child be subject to the same bullshit that you were subject to. Y'all have to y'all gonna have to stick a nail in this thing now. Y'all gonna have to stop. What you need to do in this situation is all the siblings need to get together and have a family member meeting and come up with a consensus as to how they're going to take care of or put grandma or granddaddy in a facility so they can be taken care of. Because if they're that manipulative and that difficult, you're not going to have a moment's peace. And they're going to wind up burying you. And that's the truth. You'll be like, I can't put my mama in a home. Okay, well, then mama needs to straighten up. Call the pastor, the priest, the rabbi, whoever it is, and organize a sit-down session with your mama Don't even ask mama. Don't even ask daddy. Just have the spiritual advisor come by the house if you don't believe in therapists. Have the counselor come by the house and just sit down and talk to them and have them tell them. Because sometimes what they need is somebody from the outside who doesn't have a vested interest to tell them how shitty they're acting. And that applies to any situation. Sometimes we all need somebody from the outside that don't know anything about you and don't have a vested interest to be able to show you what the fuck you really doing. And that's the truth. But Mima, Pop, you know you're wrong. You know you're wrong. You ain't had nothing. And I'm going to tell you something. If it wasn't for campaigns like GoFundMe, a lot of people would have been buried in trash bags or burnt up and thrown in the ground somewhere because y'all ain't had no damn money to bury them. And that don't make an ounce of sense. I don't understand anyway how you going to have a parent that's aging and not think about the fact that they're going to die someday. How could you not think about that? Especially if they have health conditions and they're past retirement age, that should go without saying. How could you not have some kind of policy? How could you not have some kind of burial plans? I don't understand that. I mean, you're not being realistic. But it is their responsibility to think about that when they were younger. Yes, it is. And to turn around and use their children as their only source of wealth, that's pretty sad. It's pretty sad. And it happens every single day. So somebody's got to stand up in your family and put a stop to it. And the only way that's going to happen is first of all, you're going to have to change the routine. You're going to have to change the routine. And one of you, if you were waiting for mom, or pop to die to step up, you're going to have to step up now because mom, and pop, it ain't happening right now. You got to figure out what you're going to do. You got to make some changes and you got to do it now because one of y'all is going to get buried. They're going to wind up burying one of you if it hasn't happened already. Just saying.